Tell me when to go. Tell me when to go.
Welcome to the Culturally Distinct Podcast. This is your boy DJ KO. TB is not here today. He decided to take a vacation because it was a rough night last night. So we got to fill in for him today, Mr. Rashad K.
A real fill-in. Just say that.
Okay, I got you.
I'm just saying, like, you know how you kind of do like a handicap? Like, we just saw him walking in the hallway. No, this is a real fill-in.
I got you.
Right. Tell them to put some
There we go,
respect.
real
Put some
fill-in.
respect on that, man, please.
I feel you.
Please.
Right.
And we have a special guest in the building today. She's a native of Houston. She's a doctor here. She's what they call a hot doc in heels, one of the sexiest doctors I've ever seen. And she's great, and she blessed us with her presence today. Everybody, welcome to the Culturally Distinct Podcast, Dr. Vanessa Barrow.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So before we get even started, so I know last night or last week you guys saw the presidential debate between Donald Trump.
Are you just gonna dive right into
I
it?
mean, I'm gonna jump into it.
No buffer, huh?
I want to jump into it.
We
last
can't get a
night.
first date
Last night
yet?
or last
We didn't-
week?
Last week.
What you saw last week?
I mean,
So last week, you saw on when was that? Last Thursday? No,
Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, the presidential debate between Donald Trump and President Biden. Well, I'm sorry, Vice President Biden.
Well,
I just spoke
speaking
into
into
existence.
it.
That's all it was. I was speaking into existence. So last night, a lot of people say it was a shit show. I think, me personally, well, let me get into it. What you guys think about that before we even get into the show?
whoa, okay.
I don't.
Oh, y'all quiet? Hold up. Everybody had comments last night. Why everybody
Because
quiet
I'll be
right
honest,
now?
you know,
What's going on?
yes, I caught the highlights of it, and the highlights. If that's the highlights, I feel sorry for whoever actually watched the entire thing. So,
Yeah, it was
you
a hard
know,
watch.
I think that it speaks volumes as to the state of America right now and the state of our country.
Right.
Overall, it's not even just singling one particular person out, but it just shows that, there's a lot of my patients are elderly, so they've seen a lot of presidential debates, and they have never, they remarked on
seen
this,
that?
they have never seen anything like that. And I think that all the commentators, same thing, never seen anything like that.
It was
that's real.
very entertaining last night.
It was. I mean, and the awkward thing about it is that nobody won. But I do think that, Biden, Vice President Biden, was in a tough cookie there, right? Because
How so?
well,
He did the best he could.
He did, and what you don't want to do in a debate when you have an aggressive alpha man that thinks that he knows everything, i.e. Trump.
Is he alpha?
And no, see, I was about to say
He's
that.
He's
No.
He's still at his age trying to establish that he's an alpha male. He's not.
Okay,
He's just a man.
I'll go with your definition. When you're dealing with somebody like that, though,
Right.
what you don't want to do is seem weak. What you don't want to do is seem like you're not capable of holding
courteous
your
last
own.
night because he allowed Donald Trump.
He's
to
been
talk.
worse, yeah.
Yeah, he's
absolutely.
but last night was
It was a shit show.
It was that. But my opinion on that, I think that if I was from another country and I seen that, I was like, is this a comedy show or is this something serious? Because politics normally the
Right.
stage of politics is a serious conversation. And I saw a lot of memes today on social media. They was talking about the two babies going back and forth. This is
Right.
mine. No, this is mine. This is mine. No, this is mine.
Right.
And that's what it reminded me of. So
He has already embarrassed us to other countries. That
I mean, he has.
That
That's
happened.
period.
Less than
And-
halfway.
And let's
through
not
the-
act
yeah.
like this is
Oh, that
the
happened
first
when he
time.
was during
Year one.
right
Right,
before he wasn't even
yeah.
elected.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
He
Oh,
embarrassed us a long
America
time ago.
became a joke after that,
Right.
and then
Right.
Again, though, I do think that everybody, before you do a debate, everybody has a strategy.
Right.
Everybody has a strategy.
Absolutely.
His strategy was to show that he was able to be dominant, that he's the leader, and that he's everything is great, right? But Biden came in to show that, hey, look, I don't care whatever punch you throw, I'm capable of withstanding it.
Give him so much.
And-
so much.
And it's crazy, right? And
Right.
I think that at the end of the day, even though I think that he had a strategy, and the strategy was somewhat fulfilled as far as Biden. again, when he did that strategy, there was no win still, right? And there's a potential to do a strategy with possibly not winning, but not losing, or not having to be considered the weakest link. And I think that was the case.
You're talking about Trump's strategy.
No, Biden.
Okay.
Biden. Yeah, Biden's.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, because Trump is a narcissist.
No.
I mean, that's what he is, and so you have to know strategies of a narcissist. You have to know how a narcissist acts.
Absolutely.
And that's why you say everyone comes in with like a strategy. His team gave him a strategy, and I am 100% convinced no matter at any time, any point, he goes off script. Even when
all the time. Ignores
last
the
night.
You got to, though.
No,
that's him, though,
Ignores
right?
the teleprompter.
That's him. That's his ammo.
Complete
That's what he
left.
does.
Like there's no
But
alignment on the car. He just goes.
If you think about it, ever since he's been in the limelight as far as president, there's never been one time where he's truly been reprimanded for anything that he says. Like he will say something that's outlandish. It will get some type of television or media news, and then it will be topped by something else that he does, right? And so how do you tame, or how do you try to psychologically, compete with a person like that, right? That feels in his head. And let me just say this, and this is an example. Do you know that with the NRA, right? Do you know that there are really technically more people that are against weapons and against some of the high ammo, gun regulation, right? But the thing is that the people that are for it are so passionate.
Yep.
They're so passionate that they outweigh the people
who
that
are
are
against
against it, because the people that are against it will only stand up when it's personally been attacked or personally is involved, right? And it's the same thing here. He has a cult-like following,
Right.
And that group is so engaged that, and unless the other side is truly compassionate, which we've been compassionate, but will it lead up to election time? Would it win?
So I want everybody to know that we're not picking a side on the Culturally Distinct podcast. We're just talking about the show
I can
because
pick a side if I want to.
no, I'm
You
not
can't
taking a
speak for
side
me.
because I'm not picking a side because
And
we
what?
don't know the agenda between both parties. It might be on the same side.
You're not picking a side in reference to what?
I think Adam's a
Republican
I think
and
Adam's a
Democrat.
Republican.
Well, we can't talk about that.
Wait.
So-
you're
Does that
not
like
picking a side. I don't understand
A
what
side,
you mean.
like you can't. I'm not going Republican or Democrat. I can't pick a side right now.
Why?
I'm neutral because that's just me. I think it's all staged anyway.
I don't think it's
I don't
staged.
think I know
I think it's
I don't
staged.
think it's staged. I will say this
Wait,
though.
are
Most
you
African.
basing it on just that
You're talking
debate
about debate
from
or talking about
last
just-
night, or
Just in general.
even before the debate? You
Yes.
feel that way? You were
Oh
undecided.
yeah, absolutely.
No, I don't think
Okay,
it's staged.
I'm gonna let you have that.
I don't think it's staged. But do you know that? Do you know, fun fact though, that most African Americans in the mid 50s were Republicans?
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And most people
Yeah.
don't know that,
Louisiana
right?
was a blue
So
state. Absolutely.
if you come with the mindset that we have swapped, it really is about the question is what do you think? How do you live? What type of economic and
Well, that's
and,
what it's been
environment you're in?
reduced to.
Yeah,
That's
no.
the thing. I mean,
You have to look at how the world has changed. They were like that
Exactly.
when you were truly living the Constitution and
Yeah.
being for the people. Those type,
Right.
you have to look at the basis of what it was, how it was, and
Right.
why it changed.
it's
Absolutely.
it's switched. It
Right.
totally whoever's Republican
Right.
now were Democrats
Back then.
early 1800s, early 1900s.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because even if you look down to them, you talk about public assistance. It was not created for the people. They like to put on the forefront to say they utilize it the most. So you look at all of those things, like public assistance, and even you talk.
Unfortunately,
about,
it's been reduced to that.
right. And even when you talk about affirmative action, let's be clear: the white woman is first and foremost. You do know she's
By number, yeah.
a minority. No.
By
She's
number.
a minority because she's a woman. That
Well,
makes her a minority.
yeah.
So most people think when you say affirmative action, oh, it's for the black person. No, that white woman can still always take your job if
So
you
let me
look
ask
at
y'all
it
this.
like that.
Can I ask y'all this?
You didn't realize that, huh?
No, I did know it, but it just when you say it, I felt it sitting next to you.
when I ask y'all
felt
this,
that energy.
if I make $185,000 a year and I don't want to pay hella taxes, right? And the Republicans tell me,
it's situational.
That's right.
that's what I'm saying. So you have a lot of
and they tell you
people
what,
of
that you
color.
don't have to pay taxes.
Well, they want to lower my taxes and they're going to give me more benefits towards
Okay.
my money versus me spending this
What
type
are
of
those
dollars.
benefits that you're looking for?
Not paying $50,000 in taxes of my money.
You wouldn't pay $50,000.
And not paying-
Okay, let's be clear.
And what's this?
Even if you made $185,000 a year,
Yes.
you will not pay $50,000 in taxes.
Now,
not?
now the
Why?
tax
You
that's-
the
would.
tax
Isn't-
breaks
isn't
the
like
tax
20
break, the
isn't
tax
like-
breaks really
No.
come in when you've hit a 250 or above normally. normally. But
Hold on.
I will say that if you
Yes.
have if you have
I don't know
money,
about that. I
if you
don't
have
know.
money,
We can tell.
if you have money and you have accumulated assets, there's that anybody in their right mind would want to pay less or
Right.
want to get less or want to have to
Okay.
turn in less. You know what I'm saying? So I mean I understand where you're coming from, and I think overall, just by us talking about that, I think it speaks for where you at in your life, right? Because you're going to possibly choose a side that fits you in your situation, your
and
family,
that's
and how you
most
feel
people
and how
voted
you
in
live.
2016. They
Absolutely.
picked the side that was going to, so they thought, benefit them financially, status-wise. But again, Donald
That
Trump
comes
is
with
not
costs,
a
right?
politician.
It
He's
comes
a
with-
subpar businessman at best. And they thought that was going to work out for them, but no, because there's a lot of those people who voted for him who do own businesses and things. And since COVID, let's take a poll and see where they are now. How are your businesses thriving? What are you doing? How's your money? Are you about to lose your house?
Right. I'm
How
a small
you gonna
business owner.
end your
I mean,
year?
I was
isn't
going
it?
to that.
Yeah,
I was about to ask you that
right.
question. So,
Yeah.
so, so speaking about business, we have our guest here,
Hey.
Dr. Barrow.
That was a
Hello.
good transition.
She's
Adam,
a,
look at
she's
that
Adam,
segue.
I'm proud of you. That was a
I
good
threw him
transition.
I threw him alley-oop.
I'm just saying,
Like
you know,
that was good, man. I'm proud of you, bro.
Excellent segue.
we have an entrepreneur here, and that's a
Yes.
sister, and she deals with some of this stuff on a daily basis,
Yep.
right? So, first of all, tell the people who you are, what you do,
Okay.
in depth,
All right.
and we get into it.
Well, hello, people. I'm Dr. Vanessa Barrow, owner of Soul Aesthetic. I specialize in regenerative medicine and aesthetic medicine of the foot and ankle. So regenerative medicine is stem cell. You hear about stem cell. You hear about like platelet-rich plasma, PRP. People hear these things. It's definitely the future of medicine, forefront of medicine, and aesthetics. People hear about aesthetics, cosmetics, dermal filler, Botox, stuff like that. So that's what I specialize in the foot and ankle. So I still do surgery. I still do some of your typical foot and ankle issues, but I'm setting the bar on foot and ankle. Yes.
It's big.
Okay.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah.
It's amazing. My patients do amazing with it.
So, what made you get into that? Like, that's one of those rare specialties that a lot of people don't talk about.
Well, I mean, because it's the future of medicine. I mean, I found myself practicing. I was in private practice. I've been in private practice since, I've been practicing for the last 15 years. As far as my own private practice, I opened in 2018. But I've been...
Kudos to that.
Congrats.
Thank
What
you.
month?
Thank you.
what month? So we can make that.
February 5th, 2018.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
Okay.
she's, yeah, she's
Get a handshake for that. All right, there we
Shout out
go.
to the melanin business.
Oh, I wish I could get it. Anywho, yeah. So before that, I've worked for, a large ACO. I don't name names, but ACOs are large clinic systems, hospital systems. I worked for a large, multi-specialty group. I found myself wanting to do more, and I felt like I owed my patients, a better, more options.
Right.
And when you're in certain situations, you can only, practice so far, and then they'll tell you, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Okay.
And
So-
mostly because they didn't think of it first. And it's
because it costs them money.
Right.
Exactly.
Right,
If they
right.
want to,
Oh, this the inside track.
If I did it first and I bring it to you, you can do this for me under the umbrella of my practice. But how dare you be cutting
Right.
edges
Makes
if you
sense.
want.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially for the large systems. The large systems make money off of the sick patient.
Right.
So I'm not saying they don't want to get the patient better, but
little
the
bit
way it
better.
works is whenever you
Talk about it. Hold up. She giving us some game right now for free 99.
free game.
So the way it works in some of these large systems is that contracts, you have contracts with corporations and companies for insurance, So when you walk into this ACO, there's a dollar amount on your head.
Okay.
Right.
Every time you see a
Right.
doctor, every time they do a test, chips away that dollar amount.
Right.
So they're going to want you to do as little as possible because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, guess who gets to keep
They do.
that money
right.
that's left on the table?
That's right.
Split it up amongst the rest.
That's real.
So, the companies that I had worked for in the past, they're going to tell you, you're doing too many x-rays or you're doing too much this, let's
Right.
scale back. We're looking at the bell curve. And then they throw in, it's evidence-based medicine,
That's
right.
real. That's real.
So, I can honestly say that I remember working maybe 3 months there. And I asked my colleague at the time, and I said, I don't feel like I'm making a difference here. And she said, well, what kind of difference are you trying to make? Just keep your head down and see patients.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Man.
So I will never forget that. I will
Man,
never forget
that's
that.
real.
That's a
she meant
motivator,
that.
and she meant that.
But you know what's funny?
Well, because we were being, as a physician, we make a lot of money,
Right.
Because they're gonna pump in the patients. You're gonna see tons of times. You get production based bonuses. But this is how that. It's like, I don't know if you ever, a long time ago, you ever seen the Michael Moore documentary Sicko, and that explains a lot of it. How they work. So you're going to deny stuff. You're going to continue to see these patients because it makes more money for the insurance companies, for the ACOs.
That's right.
So, I mean, that's how it works. It does not work like that in private practice.
It's similar to the documentary that was talking about pharmaceuticals, where there was a multi-billion-dollar business prior to, I believe, 2002. I think it was like a normal deal, but after 2002, everybody started their private practices, and it became like a multi-billion-dollar business.
Right.
So being an entrepreneur, so what you're saying, because it's been conversations, especially in this day and age, where a lot of people do not want to give up their comfortability, right? And being, okay, well, I make $150 grand a year. I'm comfortable. I got insurance. Everybody taking care of me.
But
So
are you
what's-
happy? I mean, I
Right.
felt jaded.
Right.
So
I felt like, I felt so jaded. I felt like, walking into an exam room and saying, what do you want, a shot or pills? That's how I felt. And I'm like,
People
that's
don't
not
quit
fair, because I
jobs,
knew
they
that
quit
they're
people.
right.
You don't quit jobs, you quit people.
Right.
Especially when you're doing.
I mean,
if it's your career and it's
in-
something you want to do, you quit
Right.
situations, you quit people. You
Yeah.
don't quit what you love.
That particular environment is a specific culture. It may be better for young doctors coming out of residency. They don't know any better. I had already been in a private practice situation, so I had the autonomy, the independence, the ability to do whatever whatever it was going to take to make my patients better, to be able to give them all these options. When you're practicing medicine and you have limited options to give your patient, it's not.
You're a young, pretty black woman. You know what you can bring in? Bring in all kinds
That's
of
right.
black people. and
How long have
elderly
you been
people
practicing?
and,
Since 2008.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's big.
Yeah.
That's big. So that's very
Yeah.
knowledgeable. That you're an OG in the doctor field, right? What is the year? Like, how many years do you become an OG in that type, or just in the doctor world?
Well,
right?
but it's variable because it depends on what you're doing and where you practice. You know what I mean? Like I can say I'm not an OG in. I know I didn't say that with enough swag. That's my third ward coming out.
Yeah. Come on.
Ward.
Shout out Houston,
No,
Texas.
I
Shout
know,
out
right?
Houston.
I'm from Detroit. Okay.
Man, give us some claps for that, man. Come on, bro. What's the sound effect?
She
from the hood.
I'm that Almeida strip. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
It comes out.
Yeah,
I'm just
Frenchie.
saying.
emancipation.
So
Anyway, but yes, go ahead.
so being a doctor,
Yes.
right, and a woman doctor, so it's majority of men that's in the medical field. That's,
Oh God, it's
it's like
dominated.
80 to 20, maybe 90, 10,
It's
right?
dominated.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So how do you maneuver in that, like, with that type of system
That's a
and that
real
type of,
question.
because it happens. You're like, okay,
Well, I mean, you come with facts. You come with confidence. I mean, I know what I know. It has always been like that. Especially, I mean, it's I'm a double minority, obviously,
Yeah,
in that.
absolutely.
Being when I was in residency, I was the only African American. I was the only female. Especially in a surgical residency. In surgery, big difference. I mean, you got to take a lot of shit. You
that's
just
real.
do. And half the time it was a good old boys club.
yes.
It is what it is. And so sometimes, and that's another, that is a segue into a whole nother conversation about like the whole Me Too movement and everything, because the things that happen in some of those residencies.
We could talk
And
about
I was
it.
about to tell
we
you,
could
and
talk
I
about
said
it.
it once before, and I'm not being funny, but I keep saying that for a reason. She's attractive. That helps
Okay.
her. Now, and I'm not saying you use
Well,
that.
it helps, but then
I can tell
sometimes
you,
they-
it's so funny because
I'm not
because
saying you used it, but you know what I'm saying.
no, I
when
was told
say
that
it
by a
helps
physician.
her.
He said, he's like, you're pretty, you probably won't be sued a lot.
Oh, then that's real.
That's me too.
I mean, that is.
that's a Me Too statement.
There's a lot of Me Too that went. Are you kidding me? I was in surgery, and so when you're a resident, you obviously that's how surgeons learn. You get past the knife, the scalpel, you get to cut, right? That's how it happens. Everybody has to go through that. I remember scrubbing with this one attending, and I'm closing up, and we were stapling the incision.
Okay.
And he's like, okay, so you have to pinch the skin edges together. He's like, like when you pinch your nipples. And Everybody
Dang.
stopped in the OR.
Oh wow.
And I said, excuse
Is that
me. and then
sexual
even-
harassment?
Yeah, I mean, is HR listening to that at the same time?
In the OR,
Oh.
sexual harassment in the
Oh,
OR.
Patients asleep. They're not gonna say, nothing's being recorded. But this is the things that happen. I mean, it gets.
And he's used to doing it. That's
Oh,
why he's
and so the
comfortable.
scrub tech was like, "What did you just say to her?" So this is me being, young.
You was gonna let it
resident.
slide, huh?
Well, so what happens, and this is where people criticize some of these women, like, "Oh, you didn't say anything till later." Well, yeah.
Yeah, because I mean,
Because you don't get the knife.
Yeah.
You don't get the knife, I don't get my case. If I don't get my cases, I don't
That's real.
graduate.
And you know
Yes,
what? A lot of
yes.
people do not realize, and they criticize Ted Cruz when he said whatever happened to him at that party. With,
He got
and,
grabbed on the-
but let me tell you
in the
what,
balls.
and this goes back to even with what we
You
said
don't have to edit
what
that
happened
out.
last night with Joe Biden. Everyone loves to say what they will do and how you will
Right.
react in a situation until
Till
you
you're
are
in a
said
situation.
Oh, no,
situation.
Absolutely.
Oh,
do
they're like, oh, I would
not
have gave it to
know.
him. I would have thrown
Oh,
it.
it takes a
I would
mature
have walked out
person
the
to
room.
rec-
No.
to accept
It's
that.
not like that.
But you're caught off guard. You're
No, you're right.
your initial reaction.
Yeah, I'm sitting there
After you
stapling
take
a patient
moment-
clothes, and
Yeah.
then
Right.
he's
Right.
like, and I'm like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, when you pinch your, and I'm like,
Who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? So
You
you,
know,
have
you-
to
you-
think
you-
about it. You have to.
and I just finished
process
up,
it.
whatever. And it wasn't to the, I just like, I don't want to scrub him anymore. And I remember telling another tenant at that point, and they're like, well, why didn't you just give it back to him? Doctor such and such, another female attending was like, oh, she would have told him. And so in other words, it wasn't like, oh, he did a bad thing.
Yeah.
It was, you should have came back harder.
Oh,
that
see.
was the response. And that
Right.
is
And
that's typically the
That's
response.
crazy that you have to play
Was
the
he
game.
was
like
he
that.
white? Was he?
The attending
Adam,
that
say
said that,
Caucasian.
Yes.
That just sounds
Well,
better.
I'm
Say
saying because
Caucasian.
all right, so
he was of European descent.
Yes.
Oh, he was
Oh,
white.
that's even better.
okay, he was Caucasian.
Anglo-Saxon.
He was Anglo. Okay. So no, the reason I asked that because a lot of us, when I say us,
Yeah.
a lot of people of African descent, that's American, we can't do certain things at that time.
Oh yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, no,
because
you're
it's
right.
going to, and you trying to
Oh.
get through grad school. I mean, you trying to get through
I
medical
had an
school.
attending, and so in surgery, it's a little bit different than some of the other surgery. A lot of the surgeon attendings think they're God. That's just, it is what it is. You're
You're
cutting on
not
people.
OR.
You're doing all this. Yes, they throw instruments. They do this. They curse people out. That's just, that is the environment. I mean, I don't. I'm a
Yeah.
sweetheart.
Yes.
But it does happen. That is
Good
the
job.
environment there.
Good job.
Oh no, I being in the OR, it takes a team.
Yes.
Some surgeons will think like, oh, who's the most important person in this room? Well, the patient's the most important person, first of all.
Yeah.
Second most important, depends on where you are in the surgery. In the beginning, it's anesthesia because
Okay.
they have to safely get this person to
Right.
sleep.
Yes.
I give all the utmost respect to anesthesiologists, CRNAs, because they safely put this person to sleep. Now, after that's done, then it's me
That's not- yeah.
because I got to do. But I've got assistants. You know what I'm saying? So, and then after I'm done, it's anesthesia again because
Right.
they got to wake this person up
Yes.
safely, and they're monitored. So there's no real one most important. Everybody, it is a team
Team.
when
It's
you're
a
in the
team.
But you
OR.
have some people,
Who
some
feel-
doctors
oh,
who believe they
right.
are the most. They
Oh,
would.
yeah.
I mean,
Important.
Oh, yeah.
it's
Oh,
not
my
the
hands.
patient. It's not.
I mean,
it's me.
Exactly.
Hands of
me.
God.
Look,
Exactly. That's exactly. Yeah.
They have a
So
God complex.
that's why surgical residencies. Sometimes you'll see that stuff on TV. I don't watch any medical shows on TV,
Right.
but they'll say, "Is it really like that?" And I'm like, "It's worse.
Yeah.
Right.
It's worse." I had attendings reference their penis in surgery, and
Wow.
yes,
You know, Adam,
crazy,
talking about this, it reminds me of swag, and I think that I think I have ability, especially seeing older men,
Okay.
and determining if they're doctors or not, because that's a different swag. If you're like late 40s, 50s, 60s,
What you mean swag? Like
personality,
personality?
like as she described,
Charisma.
Bravado?
bigger than life.
I got
Yeah.
it.
Bigger than life, right? Like I
Stick
think
my
you can
chest
think
out.
of a person that is like older age, but that walks in like
Oh,
they're
they throw
bigger than life, right?
tantrums. Oh my
You
god,
know?
yeah.
Like,
It
why
is a
this-
difference. It absolutely. I mean, like I said, I had one curse me out, so bad. The third ward wanted to come out, but you can't. Because then if you don't, you get kicked out the residency, or you don't get the knife. That is how it happens. That unfortunately, it just. And I've heard so many stories of so many.
So that's pressure on top of pressure, and that when you go home, sometimes people resort to the bottle or drugs. So how do you
Cope.
Like how do you cope with that? Because
Well, I
that's
mean,
hard.
but that's. I mean, you're talking about back in residency. I mean,
Okay.
You're talking 15, years ago, 15 plus years ago. It was, that's just what it was.
Yeah.
There was no coping. That's just what you
just
knew
did it.
that's what it was gonna be. You sucked it up. You know, you got
take
you
it
got to
as a
have
learning
you
moment.
got to have thick skin. You can't sit there and cry. You can't cry in front of people. Don't work like that. You know, you ain't crying in surgery. There's no crying in surgery. Yeah. You know, you don't play that game.
So it sets you up to expect a certain thing. So you knew if he scrubbed in with that attending, he could possibly say something inappropriate, and it's
Right.
you just brace yourself.
Well, for that particular one, I said I'm not scrubbing with him anymore, and then at least they made it a thing. But had it been fast forward to now, absolutely, there could be a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh,
but
yeah.
but
Me
the
too.
teens, right? But that's what I'm saying. Easily.
But going through that adds to your story, though, right? Like, you know, and when you talk about a story like that builds character, right? And so, you know, that same pressure, the same obstacles, those the same issues that you went through, somebody can argue and says is why you're successful now, right? Because you understand what it takes to go through some of the obstacles that maybe normal other doctors
have a
probably
question.
Yes.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit.
Okay.
Be it
Talk about it.
it's two parts. So you get a different sort of resistance, pushback, nerve from females, and then another African
talking about
American
regular
female.
females?
No, doctors.
Okay.
Because your pool is so small.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a certain level of competition amongst you all, and that in itself. And then when you say African American doctors as well, like what is that? I mean, because like we're talking about just the issues of like a male dominated scene. So if you have the few females that are there, think about the competition and
honestly.
grappling. You know,
there isn't.
There isn't.
But
Okay.
not at all.
That's
I mean,
love.
I will easily refer my patients to another.
No, but that's you. I'm saying just is it there? Is there a culture
I don't see it.
of that?
Nope.
Okay.
At least in Houston, right? At least in Houston, right?
Well, I mean, I practiced for 7 years in Connecticut. It wasn't like that either, but it wasn't a lot of us in Connecticut.
I mean,
but
It's
but
two of
still,
us. It's two of us. Shout out to the two black people in Connecticut.
Connecticut is a subculture in itself. We'll do Connecticut can get a whole
ESPN is
show
there,
right
okay?
now.
7 years I was representing all of us in North Haven, Connecticut.
Yes,
and I
you
did
were.
well.
Yes,
so,
yes.
Be
you
proud.
did.
That's
I'm
but that's just how
proud.
it. Yeah. But no, there really it's not. There's not a lot of backbite, not like that.
Okay.
It just I have not seen it even when as a student in school.
good, though.
There were 6 of us in a class of I don't know at the 80 something 6 black females.
Okay.
I think you probably
Period.
getting that from the reality show.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Because
Did you see the reality show? The doctor reality show?
I watched very few of them. But no, that's based on just when you have it's almost like dog eat dog world.
Right.
And it just makes me
That
wonder.
is as a whole, yes. I wouldn't say, but not in different races or whatnot. Just put it like as a whole, meaning older docs versus
Younger
young
docs.
wet behind the ears.
That makes
Right.
sense.
Right. That is where it's you know
That's
they'll
right.
say any medical any specialty eats their young. You can say gynecology eats their young, podiatry eats their young, orthopedic eats their young. Meaning they help produce you and get you out
They
there.
teaching you. They teaching you.
But
for the real
after
world.
that,
it's on you.
And then
Right.
it's another
Yeah.
part I asked that question because when you talk about podiatry or orthopedics, that is definitely a male-dominated field.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
So when you get 3 females, you could have the potential for there to be quote unquote a cat fight for that one spot they're given.
Competition, basically.
There's gonna be some competition. It
got
could
you.
be.
Oh, absolutely,
And so
yeah.
that's why I asked that question because
Okay.
I mean it's just what it is now. If it was a nurse, like you say, anesthesia,
Mm-hmm.
not so much. It's not as much. But
right.
a doctor
I-
in orthopedics or podiatry, that's a big deal.
I can honestly say I have not experienced it. We all kind of stick together. I mean,
Okay,
that's
really,
good.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, there is very little, and it's not that there's very little competition. I mean, we all kind of stick together. You know, I'm not saying we all best friends and we talk
Yeah.
every day.
But y'all know y'all need
But
each
I'm
other.
not.
But
Yeah,
there's
there's
a
no
bond.
backbite.
There's a
There's like
bond.
an unspoken.
Okay.
Yes, because
Okay.
we know where we're
all
the
we got.
low woman on the totem pole. After we all we got.
We all we
Yes.
got. And my
Yes.
brother's keeper.
So I've never there's no throwing under the bus. There's none of
good.
that I've experienced. But as a whole with doctors, yes. And you would think in the 4th largest city in America, like there's enough to go around.
Soon to be the
Nope.
third.
Nah,
Nope.
agree.
The bigger the pool, the worse it is.
Exactly.
Honestly. Yeah.
Exactly.
I wonder, using your example, is it maybe within the nurses? Is there some kind of like maybe internal?
Why? Because
tension?
it's
And
saturated
now
with
the
women.
crazy
Yeah.
part about it is
Women of
with
color.
the nurses, that would be flipped to where you would see that happening with a man. Because in my field of what I do in therapy, when my old job as a manager, team lead, and I would have to hire people for new positions, we would almost be like fighting for male therapists or
see that,
male behavioral health workers because they are very rare.
Oh, yeah.
So if you get we used to say if you get
Like
a
a-
male healthcare worker licensed that was bilingual, they were a unicorn. Like we had
Oh,
no
yeah, that's
hesitation
huge, yeah.
referring to them as a unicorn.
Yeah.
And pretty much all you had to do was show up for your interview. You
That's
would
it.
have to
Yeah.
just be
You
like
would-
You was good.
grossly something to not get
Not
the
to get a
job
job.
because it doesn't
real.
happen. So
It's like a male hairstylist. If I was a male straight
no,
hairstylist, that's rare.
That's
no,
a
no,
far
no.
fetch.
Those come
And I was single, it'd be
those
over.
those come more than what you think, though, because I have learned, and I tell people all the time, if you really sat back and looked at it, there are more women getting their hair done by men and men getting
Straight
haircuts
men?
by women. Straight, yes.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I've never seen a straight
Yeah.
You're
hairstyle.
going like
it's
far
started-
left.
yeah.
Before
That's true.
moving to Houston in Jacksonville, Florida, and if my husband gets close to Jacksonville, he is calling his old barber to at least get an edge up, and it was a woman. Now, he swears by it. I have a friend here. Her brothers, they went to a woman for the longest. Like, and I feel in certain situations like that, that can happen. It's more effective
Yeah. I
because
don't
the
know, man.
opposite
The barbershop
sex
talk
knows
is like
what a
that's
person
sacred.
looks
The
like.
barbershop talk is sacred.
Well, she doesn't have to be in a barbershop to cut a man's hair. She
Well,
can
I
have
mean,
her own
that's-
shop.
Yeah.
Nice
Okay.
saying it's different.
Yeah,
Because
I-
women have tea and men, we have gossip
we
too.
go far.
No, men gossip more than women.
Nah,
Let's
now
be
that's
clear.
a whole
That's
nother
a whole
podcast.
that's a
That's
whole
not
other
true.
conversation in
Let's
itself.
be
But let me
clear.
Alan, let me
Y'all
say this though.
messy.
You know
Love
what?
it.
And I'm gonna plug this. I think it's important to plug right
Okay,
now.
talk about
Special commercial, Southern University A&M, which is one of the best African American colleges in the United States.
So proper.
Yes,
It's the
yes,
best.
yes,
One
the
of,
best. I'm
sir.
sorry, the best.
When did you graduate? See, that's
sorry.
your problem.
Hey,
These
okay.
youth, I'm not getting them together,
Okay.
y'all.
I'm
Don't
sorry.
worry
All
about
right,
it.
I apologize.
One of the best.
Well, I
Get
mean, we
your
have 3
life.
campuses, so it's a system. Okay, but I want to say
And
that as
let's speak that Shreveport is now JUCO with the football team. Speak on
okay,
it. If
2
you're gonna
times.
Speak,
Yeah,
speak.
go ahead and give a clap. Go ahead and give a claps for that. You know, Pope said. But look,
I make it clap.
I my undergrad.
I make it clap.
Look, my undergrad was business.
Okay.
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 And so one of the best jobs that out of business was to do pharmaceutical sales. And
It's money.
and as a male, I had the hardest time acquiring that job. Why? Because there were more male doctors than there are female.
Oh, they
so
let them
Oh, well,
the
then, yeah.
women,
They need something to look at,
You know,
man.
it's
The
different
women.
now, but yes, whenever
You know?
when you're talking about that time, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Send a pretty
There's
girl and bring food.
and
cookie.
get
Yeah,
tickets to
yeah.
somewhere, take
and
you out
were,
to
and
some
you were
dinner.
good.
Oh, we loved rep dinners. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Free, right? So, Doc, so I heard you talk about earlier stem cell therapy.
Yes,
Is that the future of medicine?
absolutely.
Talk about
Because
it.
I have
Shout
I have a
out.
shoulder that
I'm-
be killing me right now, and somebody
Let's talk
told me
about
to
that
get
little
like.
raggedy
I-
ankle.
Well.
She's a podiatrist. Let's talk
Yes,
about
right.
your
I told
raggedy
I told my
ankle.
Achilles last year,
Okay.
around this time last year.
Did
and,
not rehab it.
I didn't rehab it properly. but-
He waited like 3 weeks before going to the
I'm still
doctor.
good. I
He
still
waited
dance.
another
That
month
sounds
before
all
having
horrible, but
This
you
is
want
a
the doctor to
judge-free
heal, to
zone.
cure you.
So let's
This
say,
is a
let's-
judge-free zone.
So look, let's talk about it, Doc. So what did he do? He injured it, let's say on this Saturday. He didn't
Okay.
go to the doctor for like another week or so.
It was
When
torn. It was ruptured.
Yeah.
Pop,
partially
gone,
ruptured, like-
just whole.
was
Hand
partially
can go
torn.
through, clean
Still.
through his ankle.
That was all right.
My husband ruptured both of his. Told him what was happening. He ignored it. Went back to Puerto Rico. Came back. Went to the doctor.
He worked.
So
He worked
about
it.
a good month passed.
I don't know nothing
before
about
he
Puerto
even
Rico.
had
What you talking
surgery.
about?
Oh, that's horrible.
About a good
Who
month.
did your? Oh, and
passed.
then
We're not gonna
no,
talk
no,
about
yes,
that,
we're
all
not
He
right?
talking
had
about
the
that.
surgery and then he still did no rehab. So there's any day, any point, his ankle can be the same
Yeah.
size as his calf. Like his foot his
It's
leg
all right.
goes
You got
all the way
cankles?
down.
That
Yes.
was
Right.
On
detailed.
one leg.
That was very detailed.
Look.
I think you need
So
to
she gave
show
me
a
all
picture.
the
You need
history.
to show a
So
picture
what
of that.
she's doing-
'cause
But
I'm
you,
sure everybody's trying to
you want
imagine that.
future
No.
signs to cure you.
Ah.
That's right. That's right. I need that stem cell therapy.
I want my
Alley
sister
hoop.
to know what she's up against because I knew what you were about to try to present to her. And
need
so
that stem
then
cell therapy,
when her
girl.
stem cell doesn't work, I
Hook
ain't
a
want you
brother
to try to
up.
get on social media and be
So-
like, it didn't work.
Yeah, no.
There's no
Okay.
Hook a brother up. I need
You
that
know,
stem
the
cell
miracles,
therapy.
the miracles of modern science can only go so far.
Amen.
Okay.
You know, just like they say, I'm not a beautician. I'm not a magician. I'm a beautician. Same kind of thing. You know, whatever. Anyway, so you know, regenerative medicine. Regenerative medicine is getting the body to heal itself. Our bodies have the ability to heal themselves. Let's tap into it. The thing is, as we mature, we get older. That ability diminishes. I mean,
Right.
it's just cells die off. Cells
Absolutely.
exactly.
Right.
So, what regenerative medicine does is take those cells and concentrate it. So it makes it more
Make
available.
it young again, basically.
In theory, yes. In theory, yes. So
I know about it. I researched it.
you know. So what we're doing, like say PRP, platelet-rich plasma. We draw your blood, we spin it down to the platelet-rich portion of your blood, and we inject it back into the area. Okay. So we're basically taking a chronic inflammatory situation, because once a situation becomes in your body, a tendonitis, whatever, becomes chronic, the body kind of stops listening to it.
Okay.
You know, taking anti-inflammatories, getting steroids, all that's not going to help it. You know, what the body listens to is acute injuries. You know, so what we're doing is we're creating an acute event. So the body will say, okay, let's heal this. Okay. And the only way we can do that in older bodies, more mature, cells, is by taking it, spinning it down, concentrating it, and then putting it back into the body. So true stem cell, it can only come from two places. One is going to be from your bone marrow, your hip. No, not necessarily. So I get it from the tibia. So tibia is right above the ankle. Yeah, the distal tibia.
We talking science right here, people.
Yeah.
I'm saying we talking over y'all. We're going to slow it down for a moment.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say she's doing a great job. I mean, because she's breaking it down. I'm sure she can go more in depth with her vocab.
Yeah, oh man, I will get all. We're gonna be here all night. Right. I love to hear myself talk about regenerative. It's my passion. I love it.
That's beautiful.
It only comes from two places: your bone marrow or adipose tissue, which is fat, your fat tissue. But in America, you can't get it from your fat tissue. You got to go to Mexico. So that's out. So in America, in the States, you get it from bone marrow. So we tap the bone, suck out the bone marrow, spin it down, inject it back into an arthritic area or an inflamed tendon, chronic tendon. Okay. And so what that does is that helps promote.
Say that again. A claim chronic tendon.
Yes.
Inflamed.
So if you had bad knees.
So yes, which is arthritis, absolutely, right. An arthritic joint, absolutely.
Bad shoulders, bad hips, bad ankles.
Yeah. Or plantar fasciitis, which is everybody kind of heard that, Achilles tendonitis.
How beneficial is that to your rheumatoid?
Okay, so good question. So instead of you injecting, rheumatoid joints or your arthritic joints, they've done IV stem cell.
Okay.
Yes, and that has helped, and that is actually they're helping cancer patients, helping patients with immune disorders. So that's something different, but they'll do it IV. I mean, obviously, I don't do that, but that is something that's out now.
My next most important question.
Yes.
Insurance.
Nope.
Private pay.
Nope.
That's cosmetic.
That is the thing. Well, no, it's not cosmetic.
Okay.
They deem it experimental.
Okay.
So it's considered experimental medicine. So that's why they won't cover it. The cosmetic only if it's used for cosmetic. Like people get you heard of the vampire facials? Yeah. So that's PRP on the face, and then works its way that's cosmetic.
Right.
That's different. Okay. I mean, even those ours are doing it in an arthritic joint or tendonitis or whatever is therapeutic. It's still considered experimental.
Elective.
So it's not
elective
right
at this point.
Well, but elective things can still get covered. No, it's truly because it's experimental.
Okay.
Yeah, period. That's why they will not cover it.
And does it have to have a certain number of years in order for it to get out of that category?
It's got to go through studies. It's got to, a long
Somebody
time.
has to figure out how to make the money.
Yes.
Exactly.
They got to have medicine, FDA, and all
right.
that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's why I like to get into, talking about stem cell, because you see all these places like we do stem cell. But the thing is, I tell my patients, you may not be getting it. Whose stem cells are you getting?
Now, this is my other question.
True stem cell is from you or a first generation relative from bone marrow.
Now that's real.
When I had my baby 3 years ago, we harvested
placenta stem cell. Yes.
Stem cell tissue.
Yes.
It's being stored. I pay for it monthly.
Yes.
How much is that?
You in my business.
I'm sorry.
Are you contributing?
No, I never heard you could pay a monthly.
You can bank cord blood.
You have to bank it. And
yes,
so
you bank cord blood. So that's going to help. Yes, and that's going to help further in life. That type of thing.
So.
We need to have a show.
Is that relative to that? Like
yes, it's the same thing. It's in the same regenerative medicine.
Okay.
It's in the same regenerative medicine umbrella.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It can be used to
absolutely.
Okay.
And the thing is, they have these products out here that you can get, like amniotic cell, placental tissue. You can buy. Yes.
Placenta, yeah.
Me personally, so those are not stem cell products, but they still under regenerative medicine. They're biologic products, but it may not be. I mean, yours different because you actually have your own stored, so that's different. But say you can,
my babies.
But or yours. I mean,
right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right.
So, but I mean, if you can buy these products, like there's a lot of companies that have these products out there, like make up a name, AmnioFix, is one, right? Yeah, so you can buy, and this is something you pay for, right?
Right.
Well, no, not a pill form. It's injectable. It's injectable tissue matrix. It's just engineered. So you don't know, and it's all studied and made sure that there's no diseases, no infection, blah blah blah. But it's not from you, and it's not from a relative.
Right.
You're buying the
Not from
product.
first generation, yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying it doesn't have, regenerative properties, because we have used stuff like this for wound care and
Right,
creating skin
right.
and skin
Yeah.
grafts.
Skin graft, yeah.
Like they took
It's like a
fires and
transplant.
stuff. Like they-
you
you
know,
know,
if you needed
there-
a liver,
there's-
you wouldn't question a person's liver if it
Right.
matched. Give it to me.
Right.
So it's the same thing.
So there's a product out there that basically is it's skin, we use to make skin grafts and on wounds,
Right.
and it's from the foreskin of baby penis. So and they just
circumcision.
grew it.
How do you-
Okay.
They grew it.
Circumcision.
They grew it, and
Circumcision.
yes, all you need is a couple cells. You just
Okay.
keep growing it, grow. Absolutely.
So look,
That's
so
fascinating.
I know this conversation could go on forever.
Yes, it can absolutely.
And it's passion. I feel the passion. I love it.
Oh.
But this is another question I gotta
Yes.
ask you, since you MD and we talk about this medicine.
well, DPM. I want to Dr. Podiatric
DPM.
medicine. Yeah,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
DPM.
No, it's okay.
Put
It's
some
okay.
respect. Put
Forgive
some
me.
respect.
I
please.
put some respect in your name. I'm gonna put some respect in your name. So, talk about this vaccine that we're talking about now, because
Oh, gosh.
this vaccine, they're talking about everybody has to take it.
You saying
It's
the
gonna
one
be a
that Trump said is coming in
Well,
November?
I think Dr. Fauci said it. He said
Who
that
said everybody has to take it?
it's mandatory. I think they're gonna make it mandatory for school systems, for job applications.
And they may,
for-
and so that's a good point, because, like, say if you work in a nursing home, you got to have the flu
you gotta
shot.
take it. Right.
Right.
So there are certain areas.
There's certain areas.
There's
indirect.
certain areas
But when you
of.
say everybody, I don't want you
No,
to
no,
make
no, no.
the public to think it's
But,
mass
indirect-
hysteria.
No,
We
yeah.
know there's going to
Wait,
be
say
some.
that again.
There's
So-
There's gonna be some-
universities that are saying for students to return, they
They
have
have
to
to
Because
have it,
nobody's
so
going to
yes.
lose their job, and they're going to take the vaccine.
gonna have to.
Yeah, if
Right.
it's an option
I mean,
between
you take a
having
flu
to.
shot to go to work. You may not believe it.
Right.
But in
You
medical
did a TB
center-
test,
right,
you do this, you
right,
do that.
right.
There are certain things, yeah, like they check off. Did you get your flu shot? I mean, because there's a lot of people who don't want to do flu, vaccines or whatever. And, but if you're in health, in the health
Healthcare,
field,
right.
healthcare,
You gotta
you
take
got to
it.
take
You're
it.
the first one.
Exactly.
And in my profession, I gotta take it. I can't tell you what I do, but I gotta take it.
Nothing.
And look, in your profession, you gotta take it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
That's right.
basically
Right.
mandatory, right?
Yeah, or else you lose staffing privileges at a certain facility.
Right.
They want record that I took this vaccine. So even though I may not make it a something at my job, for my employees, I make it mandatory, but I'm on staff at surgical hospitals, surgery centers, nursing homes, all that stuff. They're gonna be like, where's
Yeah.
your vaccine proof, your
Ima-
certificate?
Look, imagine, Adam, to your point, imagine them telling parents that they can't send their kids back to school.
School, unless
Without
they
it.
have it.
So, I mean,
Oh, there's gonna be an uprising.
Just
because
like behind the mask, there's an uprising
there's
about
gonna
the
be an
mask.
uprising of you got
They do it now
There's-
behind regular vaccines.
Oh,
They
yeah.
sign
Oh,
a
That's
yeah,
what I'm
the flu,
saying.
yeah.
Right.
What
So
the protesters, they have a march saying people against masks or something. They have a
Yeah, it was
group
it was a school
saying they're not wearing
somewhere in
masks.
Georgia, I think it was. They had like a whole protest. They don't want to wear their mask. It's their right to not
And that's
wear the
dangerous
mask.
when science has crossed into political.
well, we all know who was kind of.
Yeah.
But it was already there, because think about how many people who believe that vaccines cause autism, and so there's a lot of children entering school who do not get vaccinated.
Not
with the
vaccinated,
bumps
yes.
and
Right.
all of those things.
Right.
So,
So
I
you have
mean,
the
it's really
anti-vaxxer
nothing
community
new. Right. There's a
and,
very
you know-
big anti-vaxxer community,
Yeah,
and they're
it is.
serious about it.
I got
that's
scared because I
What?
saw the movie
it was on Netflix.
What did you-
I Am
forgot.
Legend.
Yeah.
I Am Legend with Will Smith. How they
There's
took
a
that
lot of these
vaccine,
movies out.
right? And everybody turned to zombies.
There was also
Did you
an
see the
episode
recent
on The
one?
Simpsons.
I think it was.
That's
The
right.
Simpsons.
It
The
is.
Simpsons. If you go back,
Oh,
and
it's
look
art
it
imitating.
up,
Like they
The Simpsons
predicted
had
Trump.
Everything, right.
The Simpsons
crazy.
have
In the same-
they have aired a cartoon
Same suit and
relative to
everything.
everything that
Years
has
ago.
happened
That's-
to
that's
present
funny
day,
and
they
scary
did
at the
it
same
years
time.
ago.
They did it
That's
20
scary.
years
the
ago.
Simpsons have an episode for everything that has been
Yes.
in
Right.
the news.
They're like, we
to
predicted
date.
it.
and they did it years
Well,
ago.
you know,
And
when
that goes
Family
along
Guy
with movies.
predicted. I'm sorry. Hey,
But
Family Guy predicted Bruce Jenner years ago, and it's so funny because you can they go back to they were like, no, Bruce Jenner is an elegant Dutch woman. This was back in 2009. It's like, oh, Bruce Jenner's a man. Like, no, Bruce Jenner's a woman.
Elegant Dutch woman.
But see that's
That was in 2009.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's
and this
scary
is another
and crazy.
conversation. But the question is, are we in the Matrix? Is this even real? But that's a whole nother conversation.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, look, I saw
My
a
cup is
documentary.
empty.
Look,
That was it.
look,
Right. He's just, yours needs to be empty.
Look, I saw a documentary and they gave an analogy, but the and I'm paraphrasing, but they said, how do you convince a fish that they live in water?
You don't.
They've lived in water their whole entire life, right?
Right.
So when you talk about the Matrix, right? How do you So I mean, I
But
still have some in my
everything
cup,
is
but I mean-
subjective, and
Yeah.
you can find enough people to believe said thing. And it goes back to the simplest thing that I tell people all the time. If you tell yourself you have a headache long enough, you will have a headache.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Oh,
it's
you
what
can speak it into. I'm closest. I'm good. You can speak it into existence. Absolutely, you can
Absolutely
manifest
you
that.
can.
You can
Absolutely
manifest
you
it.
can. And there are also people who believe like you have to believe in said thing for it to matter, for it to be a thing for you. Of course, being from Louisiana, there's a whole lot of talk. People talk about voodoo and things like that.
Voodoo.
I don't believe
Roger
in
the
Les
red
Bon
sauce,
Temps
that
Relais.
red sauce.
I don't believe in
That's
voodoo,
real. That's
but
real.
I don't
Hey, that's the first thing they
denounce
told
it
me when I
because it's just not of my
Right.
culture.
I mean,
it's not something I believe
that's-
in.
yeah.
But everybody uses it for something different.
Red
Some
sauce,
people
real
use
deal,
it
I'm
as a
telling you.
religion. Some people use it for devil
Entertainment
things,
purposes?
For entertainment purposes.
You know.
I mean, for whatever.
I mean, I agree with that. It's like for when it's like I bought a new car, whatever months ago, and all I kept thinking was like, man, somebody's gonna hit this car, and somebody hit the car, and then I
Spoken
remember
into
like,
existence,
did you?
yeah.
I swear,
There's
yes, and
power in the
my friend
tongue.
was like, you manifested that.
The tongue is very powerful.
But it's funny you said that because I think sometimes you don't even have to say it because something is destined supposed to happen. Like, say that thought just comes in your head. It's a reason why that thought came to your head.
When you say that,
it's
and
like
I'm not
people call it
saying-
anxiety, but I don't think it's anxiety. I think it's something that
You can look at it both
But
ways.
this is my question. When you say that like that, you say it so easy that people can just things are just destined to happen.
Mm-hmm.
How is it people put things that are destined to happen in categories and they challenge and question and have an attitude about other things? So
Example.
when
Give me
you
an example.
When
Give
you
us an
talk
example.
about sexuality, you talk about just marital things, culturally, just any of that, just the way schools do things, people do things, politicians, whatever. How is it? It's just the same thing of you saying it's just destined to happen. So how is it only certain things are destined to happen and other things that come to pass? Oh, it's of the devil. The Lord not gonna bless that. Blah blah. Everybody has all these other things to say depending on what it is and how it benefits.
No, I think that when I say it's destined, I think that
I get
we
it,
have
but-
a pre-designed.
The Lord does, not
even-
you.
I'm saying we understand things, but we don't.
It's not you.
We can't articulate it.
It's the Lord.
You see what I'm saying? Like, for instance, if you say the Lord, like the Spirit. So we say if we in church, we felt something come amongst us, but we don't know what it is. We can't articulate what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing when something's about to happen to you. Somebody's about to rob, break
But
into
to
your
say
car.
it's destined to happen is already written.
It
It's
is.
there.
Yeah.
It just
I
comes-
told you, I believe
it
in
just-
predestined.
it just
I believe in
comes- It just
predestined.
comes to pass.
Yes.
So how is it, and I'm not saying you in general, but just culturally as a people,
Mm-hmm.
how is it we pick and choose said things that are just destined and come to pass?
And I agree
see
with
what
you.
I'm
I
saying?
agree with you. But let me
People
say
do
this:
that
is
I think you're
that
aware. You're
one
not
thing-
self-aware.
Right.
That's the thing.
One thing in our brain that we will fail to realize is that within ourselves, we never want to be wrong to
Right.
ourselves.
Right.
So it's like an arrogance.
Yeah, I mean,
to a
and,
degree.
and so even if you don't even speak it out to yourself, you never want to be wrong. And so sometimes you're not going to be satisfied until you prove that thing in your head that you said yourself.
My mom says all the time when a said thing is supposed to happen and it doesn't happen and people want to get upset. And she'll say all the time, that was not meant for you. You weren't meant to be there in that moment at
Right.
that time.
Yep.
And some people say it's nothing but the devil. We give the devil too much credit.
Oh, nah, yeah.
Could it be
There
the
you
Lord
go.
keeping you from
Yeah,
something?
you late from something, you missed an accident,
Right.
type of thing. You
You
missed
know,
your
so-
flight,
That's
you
why-
missed something else.
So
That is
everybody
true.
that's viewing, if you late, you're supposed to be late.
No. Now we got a lot of African American
Don't do
listeners.
that.
We
Don't
got a
do
lot of
that.
African American
No, and I'm not
listeners,
gonna let
and
you
we
do that.
can't put that as an excuse.
No, I'm not
We
going to
can't
let
do
you do that
So, no,
because
no, we
I've
come
been
in-
in a position
I was
that
late.
I have
Destiny
supervised
says it's
several.
okay. No,
Yes,
it's fine.
yes. I've
But I
been in
totally
a
believe that.
position.
But I think
Yeah.
that does give comfort. I will say that, to think that, okay, if I'm late or if I miss this or for whatever, then not saying, me personally, I'm more spiritual, but, I'm just saying you can't give credit to something else. Just say, well, this is destiny. This is
how it's
exactly
supposed
this
to
is
be.
supposed to happen.
That's real.
It's
me
my path.
personally,
It's ordered already.
Exactly. There are
Steps
no
are
mistakes.
ordered.
I totally believe that there
I
are no
agree.
mistakes.
I
This is
agree.
exactly what's supposed to happen.
I think I said that last time.
Everything
I was just
everything
like,
happens
it
for a
happens.
reason.
It's already
Absolutely.
planned.
It's already
You can
planned.
try to change it, but it's kind of like Final Destination. It's what it is. It's there.
That's your final
It's your
destination.
path.
Well, but
It's your path.
It's your path. It's
you
gonna
have to
find.
walk
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna end
And
up
I-
on that one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I mean, talking about that, and I just want to be full transparency, talking about that, I think that it's important to then bring up something else that was talked about that we haven't said. Because before Doctor got here, one of the things that Adam you mentioned, or that Doctor you mentioned, was foot fetishes. Okay.
Do you have a foot fetish? Talk about it.
No,
We
I
can
don't.
get to it.
I
Let's get
don't.
straight
I
to
don't.
it, bro.
I don't. But I think it's a real thing.
If you do, it's okay.
I know. I don't. I'm just,
Yeah, no judgment.
Listen, we have a diverse crowd.
Okay.
That's looking
Okay.
at this, right?
Yeah.
So no, I took the liberty of looking it up, right? So
What, foot fetish?
Well, let me say this on Instagram.
Foot fetish.
Oh, it's huge.
If you put
I have some foot fetish-
foot
Oh,
or feet, feet is 15 million.
yeah. Oh, there's a lot of
hashtags.
people,
Yeah, it's
you know.
real.
Foot fetish is 1.5.
I have some people who have foot fetish accounts that follow me. I mean, because I'm gonna end up
dealing with
posting
feet.
something
Right.
with someone's foot in it. Yes, it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a sexual thing. You know, I know no judgment. Me personally, no, I do not have one. That is not. If I had one, and
Yeah.
this is the career field I chose, I'm sure I'd be in jail and
You'd be in
arrested.
trouble. You'd be in trouble
Exactly.
because you wouldn't be
Just
able
the
to
professionalism
You know,
has to be there.
I
Right.
revert back to my gynecology. You know, what
right.
kind of fetishes? What type of fetishes a proctologist have? I mean, come on.
Right.
Exactly. You know, all the people thinking. You know, it's funny because some men going into gynecology or whatever, like, well, what was your motivation, really?
Yeah.
Women ain't coming to see you because it's pretty.
But after a while,
sick.
it gets
It gets probably mundane,
I know,
though,
I'm just-
right? It's
yeah.
like-
After a
it's
while, it gets
just
boring. It's like, all right,
sure,
I
I'm
seen
sure.
one, I seen them all. Whatever. So speaking of that, we talking about this topic right now for the fetishes. So the hot docking heels.
Yes.
Where did that come from? That term.
That was
So-
another good segue, bro. Your alley hoops are amazing.
Oh.
You can't come back.
I'm sorry.
Wait,
Okay.
nobody ooped that alley though. I'm just saying.
Kyle, you can't come back.
I'm just.
I'm trying
I'm
She messed it
amused.
up for you. She thought you
I'm
did.
sorry. It's the third time, but I was just
I
amused.
need
But
you
you
to come
know,
back.
that was destined.
Rashawn is
That
like,
segue.
He is like Jeffing for your job.
just-
He's so far up Nelson's ass right now.
I'm
The
just
segue
saying.
was destined. It
We'll
was
bring
supposed
you
to
back.
happen.
You ain't got the
So-
brown
Acknowledge
nose.
it, right?
We're you know.
The hot docking
It was
heels.
a good.
You know,
it was a good.
it's
alley
a
hoop.
brand.
You know.
No, seriously, no. It's funny because I get that all the time. You know, I think I just posted something. One of my patients says, "Oh,
catchy.
you're too pretty to be a doctor." Well, no. That's one. I get that, but more specifically, they'll say you're too pretty to be a foot doctor, and I'm like, "Oh, really?"
Okay.
So what am I supposed to look like? You know, old white and Jewish, and that's where
Creepy.
creepy
Liver
and out of
spots.
shape and this and that because those are the stereotypical foot fetish people, excuse me, and everything else. Right. But no, seriously, not even just doctor. No, because you'll find a gorgeous, I don't know, dermatologist.
It's not
or
a
gorgeous
fabulous
whatever.
job. A podiatrist
No.
is not a fabulous
Right.
job. It's
Right.
not
So but that's why
fascinating.
I because if I tell people podiatrists and the first thing they're going to think of is like, "Oh, Corn's calluses, fungus."
Right.
And I'm not saying that I don't treat those things absolutely, but what I do is it's not way above or below. I'm not trying to belittle that because that's actual
That's a real
issue.
thing,
It's
yeah.
a real thing. People have pain with it, whatever. But I wanted to veer away to show that I do a lot of other stuff. You know, there's stuff that I do that no other doctor does here in Houston. I mean, you may find it in Manhattan, you may find it in Beverly Hills.
Right.
Houston has a market for it. I mean, Houston's fourth largest city. The money's here, the
Absolutely.
people
Soon to be
here,
third.
the
You have
culture.
major sporting teams who could use
Right.
regenerative medication.
Exactly. No one has to fly in. You know, I've had a
You
patient.
need a business partner?
So
We gonna talk afterwards, all right?
I had a patient fly in for me, you know, because I was local. So she flew in, had her treatment done, flew right back out because, you know, you've only got on the East and West Coast. So, you know, I'm definitely, and I wanted to change the face of what
You wanna
foot
be
and ankle,
cutting
yeah,
edge,
totally
right,
different.
right.
So usually patients see me in my office, I'm in heels, and so that's where it came from. Because and they're like, and that's a big thing. They're like, wait, a foot doctor wearing heels, and I'm like, well, because you can wear heels is not a dirty word.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, what you're gonna find is you're gonna find a lot of, you know, foot and ankle, and I won't just say foot doctors because you're gonna have people who are orthopedic surgeons who also specialize, and they call them orthopods, also specialize in foot and ankle specifically.
Okay.
They call them orthopods. They'll all say the same thing: get out your heels. But that's not the problem. I said, let's figure out what your pain actually is and evaluate that. There's a lot of people
that's
who
real.
that's their lifestyle. That's their career. They can't just throw on some orthopedic shoes and SAS and whatever and sneakers all the time.
Right.
So let's evaluate exactly what your pain is and why you may have that pain when wearing a certain shoe. And it doesn't just, you know, not just translate to women in heels. I mean, there are men who need to be high-end
Men in
fashion.
heels? Come on now.
Yes. First of all,
we're not in Atlanta.
First of all, yes, men do. There are some men wear heels. Okay. But what I mean is, your Italian shoes, your other high-end shoes,
Okay,
your
I
clothes,
got you. Yeah.
So, but yes, I mean heels for all.
Your
I don't
Carolina
judge.
Herrera's.
Okay, everything. Your Ferragamos.
Watch yourself. I don't know about those
Exactly.
brands. I don't know about those
We
brands.
Okay.
We can
Right.
tell. It's
Shout out to
okay.
Ferragamo. Y'all want to give us a sponsor? We can do that.
Exactly,
Let's do it.
but either way, it's just in other words, other high end shoe gear. But the whole point was to show that I am relatable to people who want to live that lifestyle. They see me, they're like, she does have heels on. Take a picture.
She's the
or
real
they
deal.
see and so I market myself as fit and fashionable because when you go to a doctor and you have this unhealthy doctor with a big old gut and they telling you go lose weight, go work out.
Right.
No.
Commercial.
So
That's so real.
But the
That-
simplicity of what you just said, it resonates in so many areas. And so you spoke on how men's fashion is, and I say that. And so I remember one time I was saying something to my husband. He was like, Carolina is Spanish. She makes her clothes for Spanish men. They aren't built like American men. You can even look at H&M. You can look at Zara. That's
European.
made for a European cut
cut.
men.
Yep.
But
Africans
still,
can't fit
as
that.
American
both-
men, y'all still run. We still
they're-
run
you're
out
right,
there
they're
to
buying.
these stores
Right.
and try
That's
to
like Louboutins.
conform.
Louboutins are built for French feet.
And
Us
I-
big American women don't have these French
big
feet.
country
And y'all
chicken
sitting.
chasing feet. That's why you got your shoes and a flip.
Big shouts out to Louisiana
Right.
women, man.
That's why
One
they're
time,
taking
one
your
time
shoes
for
off.
Louisiana
So-
women, bro.
so
One
when it
time.
comes
you
to-
know?
Women, period.
Right.
But that's relevant that you say that
It
because but we still try to conform to
Right.
make ourselves fit in there.
Right.
Because like you say, no, that doesn't mean you have to come out of your heels, but how many
No.
people do you encounter who've tried and forced
Right.
and wore these heels
Right.
for so
So,
long and
right.
now you have this damage to the foot.
Right. So but
We
so
do that.
and I try to that's my platform again is to basically practice what I preach what I practice. People see this. Again, if I'm an out of shape doctor telling you go lose some weight, I mean, come on. Who's if you see a dentist with some jacked up teeth, really, dentist?
Right.
You see your hairdresser,
That's
her
true.
hair
Yeah,
always
you're not
look
gonna
jacked
always
up.
do my
really,
hair every
hairdresser.
time
Not
I see you.
sometimes,
You
always,
right.
huh? Look at you.
But that's
You
what
get a
I'm
pass
saying.
once or twice, right?
That's true.
Somebody at Planned Parenthood having an unplanned pregnancy.
Well,
Come on.
that's like I'm a physical trainer, and I have a gut.
She
How
said
can-
that already.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So
That's most HBCU
But you get that.
trainers.
So again, wow.
why you gonna do that?
She can't come back. I don't know if you want to be here.
He was an honorary guest. I don't know what he is right now.
That's
I
like
think
a vegan eating some steak. No, it's
trying
fine.
to
But
figure out,
seriously,
do
but
you
but
wanna
so
be here or not?
but that's
I'm sorry.
but
I'm just
that's
keeping
but
it
that
real.
is what I wanted to. That's the whole the image of. Is that y'all?
Oh, that's the battery.
Oh.
Go ahead. We good.
That's the whole image of the whole fit and fashion, hot dog and heels, whatever, and that's if people who see my page on social media, that's basically all you see is either, something fashionable, something fitness. I'm doing whatever workout because I'm a runner, and people who run, they're like, I want to go see that doctor because I'm a runner too, and I know that she can
She'll
relate.
understand.
She's not going to say, okay, take 6 weeks off. Go put your foot in a boot. Stop running. Stop. Why is that the answer?
You live what you
That's
do.
real.
Exactly. So I get you. I understand your lifestyle. I understand you want to be fit. I understand, and it's not even just, that's not like I'm just getting fit people to find me. It's, even people who want to get back
Fit
to
people
that.
are looking for you, though. Fit people
Oh,
have
absolutely.
pains. Fit people have illnesses.
And that's what they
have
see.
foot
They're like, I know
problems.
you're a runner, so I'm coming to see
So they're
you.
looking for someone who can relate versus just
Right.
going to your typical doctor
Exactly.
who's going to say, no, you can't do da because
Right.
they can't relate.
They can't relate.
To what it is.
But I also have people who want to, and I'm not gonna say look like me, but they understand that, they want to get to this point. They're like, I know you run. I want to get back to running. I've gained this much weight. And other doctors would just say, oh, we'll just lose weight. Well, it hurts to work.
How?
Exactly.
So where can the people find you?
Where can they find me?
Yes.
Oh, social media?
Social media.
Social
your
media,
office.
We're
office,
still
my
working
office. I
on
know.
that.
I'm
I'm
like,
gonna smooth that out with him. We still working on it.
well, on social media, I'm Soul Aesthetic. So again, people will Google Dr. Vanessa Barrow. You'll still find me, but it's my office is Soul Aesthetic.
Okay.
On Facebook, Soul Aesthetic. Soul Aesthetic TX. My office is in Bel Air. That's where you can find me. Yeah. So Soul Aesthetic is the name, is the brand. So, yes.
Everybody, I thank you. First of all, I thank you for coming to the show. And
Thank you for having me.
This is handle is Mr. DJ KO. What's your handle, Rashad?
Yes, Rashad Cave. You can find me on Facebook. I'm taking a hiatus on Instagram. But yeah.
Okay.
What's that about?
That's
You like
next
to
show.
talk about it?
Next show.
K Jack in the building. You can find me on Instagram as Eric's Queen.
Aw.
Facebook.
Like I said, again, Mr. DJ KO, it's shout outs to everybody. Much love to Dr. Vanessa.
Yes,
Thank
yes.
you.
Excellent,
Thank you.
excellent. Seriously, thank you so much.
You guys, thank you for tuning in to the Socially Distinct podcast. Be blessed. Peace and love.
Man, that was an awesome show.